Greetings, friends.
Hello.
So, I think most of you probably know about Dustin by now, and he is my head instructor here at ReWild University. And it's been really cool to see you working with students over the last, oh gosh, it's been all summer.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Yeah. Been they say that the best way to learn is through teaching, and I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot.
You know, when you first came here, especially with hand drill, watching you take on hand drill and being so persistent with it and never giving up and wanting to get that wildfire out in the woods. Man, that was fun to watch your journey.
That was kind of different, I would say, versus my normal approach to things.
Yeah.
You know, I would say that I have this tendency to want to accomplish something like that, but at the same time, that was a definite effort. Like, I would say at a lot of times I try to move through life without forcing things so much, but that was something that I just really wanted to. Like, it was just drew me into it. Alexis was saying something about that the other day. Like, that was a very specific time in my life in which I was feeling completely different than I am right now. Like, I was very goal oriented on hand drill, and yeah, like I spent a lot of time a year working on hand drill.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. She said, I didn't know when I got here. Alexis said, I didn't know when I got here that you'd just be sitting on the floor off the times, just rubbing sticks together,
spinning wood.
Yeah, making screeching sounds and such too. But yeah, it's been a long time doing that, and it showed me what effort can accomplish, because it's tough. Hand drill is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to share just an interview with you today with Dustin, because the mission at Rewilding University is really, Rebecca and I call it unleashing your inner nature. So often there's things in life that we want, there's parts of ourselves that we know are these capacities and capabilities that we have, and we feel really trapped in the life we're living. And of course, when people come out to the school, we get to see them physically removing themselves from that trap, at least for a few months, and making some big changes. But you were living in the city, had a job in insurance. I mean, you, not too long ago, were doing a much more standard thing. Somehow you got the courage and the impetus to make this move. Can you tell us how you did that? Because we all know what it's like to feel stuck.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because that's like the one thing I feel like I'm pretty proud of in some ways, that it was a slow transition, that it didn't have to be like one thing or the other. Yeah. It doesn't have to be I lived in the woods and 100% living off the land, or living in my apartment, because stark contrast there. But yeah, it was very much a slow transition of giving myself permission to set a nearly unattainable goal. I guess Rebecca says give it 10 years, Yeah. Like, you can't even think 10 years out. That's kind of how I was thinking. I was thinking about stuff. I kind of set a goal that was like, that's there, this is where I'm at right now, and I worked with that. So yeah, I worked in insurance for like 4 years. Spent a lot of time during that time making strong transitions in my diet and just lifestyle. Started incorporating. Picked up hunting in those 4 or 5 years, foraging, and yeah, it wasn't something that happened all at once at all. At first I started by eating what I considered better, and then I always came to a conclusion that there was something better. So at first that meant better was once a week I might eat at the China buffet or something.
Okay, yeah.
Because I was in school, and so I would have time, less time. At least I thought I had less time. And so I'd be rushing, and maybe I want to eat China buffet or something. And so slowly that meant transitioning out of China buffet. And then slowly that meant transitioning out of, standard chicken that I buy in the store and going for free range chicken. And so it was again a very long process as for the diet end of it and movement end, And I guess the whole scope of rewilding, as I always pictured it, is that it's a spectrum. And for the sake of the spectrum, McDonald's on one end, which they're, I guess they're making efforts to be better, so maybe there's something worse than McDonald's on this end, but, and then, living off the land 100%, self-sustaining yourself. And I just wanted to work myself to this direction on the spectrum and not get too attached to this idea. And so being that I wasn't, like, the goal was nearly unattainable, it put me in a more content place where I could exist with and happy with where I was. So I honestly thought I would be in insurance for a long while. I just accepted that, and I made it work. And I didn't wear shoes at my office. I was always working out or standing instead of sitting, and every time I walked through the doorway, I did little finger pull-ups on the door jambs, and brought a hot plate thing to work so I could cook on that versus buying food out.
Wow.
Had tea. Like, it was just adding little things into your life.
That's cool, because that's, often we think, okay, I've got to quit the job. But you were finding ways within that job to make this moving you along that spectrum that you saw in the direction you wanted to go. That's good advice.
Yeah. And at the same time, there was many moments of discontentment where I was not happy about my situation, of course. I guess there was more moments early on. Eventually, it became the point where I was okay with it. Like, it was just fine. I can't say there was like strong moments of discontentment, but other than probably not much more strong than what I have right now. Just in a different direction. Man, I need to work on the hand drill again. Like, I don't have those calluses right now. So it's just placed somewhere else other than on attaining, being out here in the woods.
We've got, how old are you?
26.
26, okay. So we've got this age, at least in my mind, where I've come out of school, high school, I've maybe gone to college or tech school, and I'm in my career. And I feel like this age, the late 20s, maybe early 30s, is a time when I can either resolve myself to I'm going to stay here until I'm 65, or that discontent you were talking about becomes a motive force for us. And we decide we're going to start to make changes. We can go either way, or find a middle ground there, but would you have a message for those people that are in that age range, that are watching, that are feeling that split? I mean, go for it or don't, or what?
I can't say I have a really good answer for that, honestly, but the thing that came to my mind, and so I'm just going to roll with that, is I decided at some point to invest in my local environment, and so that meant, okay, Indiana is my home. I decided that I'm not moving. I'm staying in Indiana, even though I didn't know that for sure, but that's just what I told myself, is that I'm staying in Indiana, I'm investing myself in my local environment. So I didn't just mean making a point to get out in the woods within range of me. It also meant just like settling and being like, and so my local environment also meant, it's awesome that the Kroger's 5 minutes down the road, and like, that's my local environment. So I guess, I don't know.
That's a
really,
grocery store?
Yeah.
For people that don't? Okay.
Yeah, it's a grocery store.
Like a natural grocery store kind of?
Well, they're a pretty big chain, and they offer natural alternatives.
Okay.
But mostly, I would say, it's a normal grocery. I don't know that it's really answering the question as to that age range and what, and something to do, but other than choosing to just like look at your most immediate surroundings and see how good you actually may have it, and what potential for change is already existing here versus out there. And then once you actually start utilizing the tools around you, whether that's getting out in the woods and getting inspired because you found that mushroom or something, or just being content that you have a grocery store so close, that when you're utilizing those tools around you, that it's exhausting a lot less energy than if you're like reaching out, always trying to find something out there.
There's that easy trap of always looking
so
outward.
I felt like I just started investing myself in what's most closely around me. So I'd also meant in my family, Although now that means that I'm further away from my family. So there's not like a direct correlation that investing yourself in your local environment is going to mean that's your local environment. Local being, again, not necessarily environment. I think environment being, all the relationships we have around us, human, animal, woods or city.
Yeah.
I really started investing myself in my family too, and it just felt really empowering to have this network that's just right around me of tools and accessories that were empowering versus being out there looking out to.
Yeah. How about talking to men specifically in our culture? There's so many messages of what it is to be a man. What does that mean? Very confusing. It's obviously the same with being a woman, but in your case, speaking to men, as a man living in regular civilization, going to work, but feeling these changes, what can I do, or what can be my guiding force in finding masculinity?
Okay.
Or defining that?
Well, I don't know that we have too much of a problem of finding masculinity in today's culture. Unfortunately, a lot of times it's probably over masculine. So
You're
maybe
talking about that like bravado, like
destroy and conquer and dominate and manipulate, cut down all the trees to grow a field or something. So I don't know that it's actually in seeking the masculine as much as it might be seeking the feminine aspects to really define what masculine means for you versus what it was given to you as as a child or as a young adult. So I guess that's it. Seeking the feminine versus the masculine, and what comes up for me is doing things more feeling based versus doing things more logical based. The masculine energy would be more of a logical, decisive, direct, measuring type of energy versus a feminine. I take it as more of like a feeling based, intuitive, softer energy, and so seeking that feeling, as you use the word feeling, going through things feeling based versus logical based. Of course, using our logic mind has helped us accomplish plenty, but not discrediting the intuitive mind. And for example, right now I'm feeling like slightly anxious, and like being willing to admit that, because half the time we're not willing to admit that. So here I am admitting, being on video, introducing myself in some way, it brings up a slight anxiety. And so being willing to admit that to yourself, admit that to people around you, and humble yourself a bit, because masculinity is not necessarily the humbling energy either. It's like the over top of you energy. It's like the dominating energy again. So the masculine side of yourself is. So admitting your feelings and doing things feeling based intuitively, and then I bring that back to how do we actually do that through, because if we use our logic mind to do something intuitive, it might be counterproductive. So to me, then there's like a return to the body and finding a place physically that I can anchor to that feels like I'm moving through intuition, and then that comes to my theories about moving from your center being here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really like your center. I was thinking about this the other day. Where is the center of the universe according to you? And everybody will have a different point for this, but I think a lot of people might agree that this is the center of the universe, where we're observing it from, and then where from observing is the center? Is it here? Is this where the observation is happening from? Is this where the participation in the environment is coming from? Is it coming from here? For me, I prefer it to come from here. And this is actually the center of your body. It happens that this might just be the center of my universe.
Yeah.
Because like the physical, tangible center And in a way, we can talk about it maybe being like an energetical center of the universe, of your own universe at least.
That should bring us to Tai Chi, but I want to quick just reference something. You know, when admitting that anxiety is, I really feel like we've got this view in our culture. So if you think about being a man and being masculine as a man and not showing my emotions, really I'm hiding. You know, so in many ways I feel like the image of masculinity we've created in our culture, it looks strong on the outside, but it's weak because it's afraid. Fragile. It's hiding. Yeah. And so as we start to redefine that in our culture, it'd be nice to see more of that, you know. So if you can admit an emotion, you've just brought it out, you've had this strength and courage to say, hey, here's part of me that usually would be hidden away and I'm showing it. So
I mean, I already feel better just admitting it and speaking to you know, to you guys, but also just to a camera, like for some reason, and of course to you, but I feel better just admitting the anxiety.
Yeah.
Like it comes down. Like I settle down versus being so up.
I feel like I've seen that, and you know, sometimes when we've had people out that are really strongly masculine, and I always feel like those are the people that often break the first, you know, most easily under a lot of pressure, because there's just, you're hiding so much that it builds up, and you're not developing skills to deal with those emotions, which you have to do if you bring them out. You know, it shifts and changes things. So martial arts has been really cool, you know, and I think you've got the, okay, yeah.
New school Tai Chi Chuan.
I always had that view of Tai Chi, that Tai Chi was the form, you know, it was not a martial art that I trained in. And so it's been really cool to see that whether it's hard styles or soft styles that are being used against you, that softness that you speak of is it's very powerful. It's not, you know, we can think soft is weak, hard is strong, but, you know, there's the old story of the oak tree and it just topples over in the wind, but the willow tree, you know, can shift and bend and actually is stronger because of its suppleness. It's a little bit about Tai Chi and how that feeds into your rewilding.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Tai Chi as a physical practice, as you said, a lot of people might see it more as, you know, the flowing arms. And see, that's what I see it as, and I can't say for sure, but if I imagine someone doing Tai Chi prior to my practice, it may be people doing Qigong practice, which ends up looking like flowing arms. But Tai Chi actually has a strong emphasis on building a strong base and a lot of footwork. So, working from the ground up with Tai Chi, and this principles of being single-weighted, in a single leg, before delivering a punch or a push or something like that. These are very applicable. Yes, they can be applied to fighting or sparring situations, or moving through the woods quietly, or moving through the woods fastly in a quick manner too. So the principles found in Tai Chi are where I extract the principles of Tai Chi and then I apply them to my life, and they end up coinciding with rewilding principles. As the principles taught in Tai Chi are often natural principles. There's a lot of removing of things to return to like a more natural movement, and natural movement for me would be like a relaxed posture movement versus a tense posture. So always with students, I'm always trying to get them to soften up, and myself too, always trying to soften up, be more relaxed. And from that relaxed state comes a more fluid, natural, principled movement. And that correlates with rewilding from a relaxed state. You know, I actually get to see what's in front of me, and I'm utilizing those tools, as I was saying with earlier, your local environment. The relaxed state makes for, I guess it really, this program specifically, the Unleash Your Nature, Inner Nature, like that is pretty well exactly what I feel like you're seeking in Tai Chi. Like there's this cultivation aspect of it that has made me arrive to the place that where, again, I think this is my center, and like this is my inner nature, like to be involved from here with what's actually going on around me versus out there and up here and out there especially. That's the idea of inner nature for me, and so I guess that would be where it would be related to rewilding. I'm trying to think of some other ways that I would say this, as I would normally have all kinds of ways to correlate the things, but on the spot, a little different. Yeah, you mind if we come back to it, maybe?
No. If something comes up into your mind,
okay,
definitely go for it. That's one of the fun parts about this whole experience with you is we can have surprise attacks and obviously this is off the cuff, but that kind of martial arts training, it reminds me of my youth when I had people that I could do that with, and could jump out at each other and have it be more of a whole life thing instead of like just at the dojo.
Yeah.
I failed. You've had some powerful experiences out here, I know. Can you share with people to end us, unless something pops in your head Tai Chi wise, to end the video, one experience out here that would be fun to hear about that also had some depth of change for you or something like that?
One experience.
Yeah.
So many experiences. I'm going to go with some of my most recent ones.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with my mosquito challenge.
Oh, I've been wanting to hear about this because you haven't fully told me.
Yeah.
So, okay.
It's good timing then.
Okay, I'll give you my perspective because you were out hunting, I believe.
I was scouting before hunting.
You're scouting before hunting, and you came back in the evening, and he takes off his shirt and turns around, and his back is just, he looks like you got some kind of really bad disease. It was all red and had mosquito bites.
Hundreds.
Imagine. I don't think I've ever seen a back that mosquitoed out. And that's what I witnessed. And then you, of course, got to tell me what you had done.
Yeah. So I was scouting, and I realized, I think it was the day before season came in, and I realized that, the mosquitoes were becoming really bothersome. And there was kind of a peak, and it kind of went down now, but there was a little bit of peak over the last few weeks where the mosquitoes come out again. And I realized that I couldn't be constantly swiping at mosquitoes to successfully hunt. The deer would see me, whether in a tree or on the ground. They'd likely see this motion, The mosquitoes would just get in my face. I had a scarf around my head, and I had long sleeves on, but they're still biting me through my shirt. And I was just like, I just had kind of a moment where I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna let them have me. Now, here comes a little bit more of the ritualistic type of things that I fall into sometimes, is that I was also thinking a way that I was giving back, because I know I'm going to be taking from. And I was like, I can deal with a few minutes of discomfort, because obviously the deer that I'm going to shoot over the next couple weeks will probably go through some discomfort. And I thought there was like a trade of energies, and I can't say for sure whether that's anything to that, but that's just how I felt in the moment. I felt like I needed to give back. So I gave back, and I let a lot of mosquitoes bite me. I just covered up my face only, and they mostly avoided my chest for some reason, but they got me really good. and I came to this point where I almost felt like I was on the brink of going a little crazy. It was a lot of, it was discomfort. I mean, pain is like a totally different feeling for me. Like, it wasn't like muscular or bone pain or something like that. It's just a lot of discomfort, a little pricking. I have a tattoo, so maybe something similar to that times 10. And I eventually was able to just, through relaxation, through giving in, through releasing, I just let them bite me. And on that kind of release, on that kind of come down, letting go, I had a pretty strong experience of union with what was going on. I could hear things extremely clearly. I could hear the humming of the mosquitoes. I could hear the changes in pitch, and I felt a sense of union with everything going on. It was very clear, but very brief too. Probably because I don't know, maybe a bug bit me too hard and it broke me out of the moment or something. But there was I mean, it felt like longer than it probably was, but there was a few seconds of union through letting go, and and again, it was a sense of giving back too. And I like that idea that, if we let the mosquitoes bite us, if we don't smash them, then they're likely to get eaten by the bird or something else. They're going to be part of the life cycle too. Someone's going to try to eat them as they're trying to eat us, and I'm participating in that way. Since then, since the mosquito encounter, I have been hunting many times, and the mosquitoes have been bothersome, but not in the way that they ever have been before. It's really toned it down.
So you did create a new relationship. With them.
Yeah. I want to say that I don't feel the pain necessarily. I don't feel I don't know that they're there. Sometimes I don't, but it's more so that I don't care either. I just let it happen.
Yeah.
And you gotta let it happen in those few moments when a deer's standing right in front of you. And, if you got your bow drawn and a mosquito's biting your hand, you can't change where your hand is at. So I figured that was one of the best ways to get used to the mosquito bites.
That's powerful. Thanks for sharing that. That feeling of unity is, something. Hi, kitty. It's something that, a number of people have experienced out here. Those flashes of oneness, or whatever you want to call it. And I think nature can deliver those, but only when we're in that non-resistant state of mind. And that's so key to so much, I think.
So that's the relaxation, the release available in Tai Chi.
Wow, yeah.
Is the release that you're looking for me, that I'm looking for through rewilding, that involves me just kind of working with the rhythms and patterns that are already available here in nature. I'm just kind of let those be the influencer on me versus me trying to manipulate or control them. So that's the correlation between Tai Chi, rewilding, in my eyes, is the release.
Wow.
The giving up to.
Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you.
Wow. So much. And you probably know Dustin has a YouTube channel. And have you been active in that lately, or not a lot?
Not super active, but I have a few videos I'm putting out. I'm actually planning on making some Tai Chi related videos. The channel is about rewilding in general, but I kind of cover nearly anything I'm interested in.
I'll put a link up to it here.
Okay. And so I'm probably going to make some Tai Chi related videos, nearly some instructional videos, not necessarily learning the form, as maybe just some coordination.
Okay.
Things.
Wow. Sweet. Thanks for watching, my friends. And share your thoughts below about what you heard from Dustin, if that triggered any thoughts or inspiration, and you in your own rewilding journey or explorations towards shifting your life, whatever word you put around that. Share and inspire us all. Thanks so much.